Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Myself Dr. Sumeet Patil, and I make videos upon English literature. So today I am going to talk about Middle English period. Now what is Middle English period and its history I am going to talk right now, but before that you have to watch my previous videos so that you all will get idea about the previous eras or previous years, what has happened in the previous years. So to watch those videos you can see here, that is Anglo-Saxon period and Anglo-Norman period. So let's begin with today's video, that is Middle English period. Now what is Middle English period? Middle English period, which roughly starts around 11th century or the beginning of the 12th century, and it ends towards the 15th century. Now, what are the key points of Middle English literature or Middle English period? That is, after the we can say the conquest of Norman conquest in England, that is William the Conqueror, when he comes to the throne and when he rules, it is called as the Anglo-Norman period. And now in the Middle English period, what has happened is there are so many different changes that has happened. Now to begin with, the first and the foremost point is in the era, that is we can say 1066 to 1087, Normans conquered England, and Norman dynasty was established and ruled by William the Conqueror, which they ruled over half a century. And before this period of succession crisis, it is known as the Anarchy. And from 1087 to 1100, William the Second, third son of William the Conqueror, he became the King of England from 26th of September to 1087 till 2nd of August 1100, with the powers over Normandy and influence in Scotland. After that, 1100 to 1135. Now this is the most important period, what has happened in 1100 to 1135. Now King Henry the First, King of England, he came to the throne, and he was ruling England till his death in 1135. He was the fourth son of William the Conqueror, and he was educated in Latin and liberal arts. On William's death in 1087, Henry's elder brothers Robert Curthose and William Rufus inherited Normandy and England respectively, but Henry was left landless. He purchased the county of Courtenay in western Normandy from Robert, but his brothers deposed him in 1091, and fortunately he rebuilt his power base in Courtenay and allied himself with William against Robert. Now after this period, what has happened is there is a change, that is we can say there is the Anarchy period. Now it starts from 1135 and it is there till 1154. Now what is the Anarchy? Now the Anarchy is a civil war period. Now what is civil war period and where it started? It started in England, and it was there between England and Normandy between 1135 to 1153, which resulted in a widespread breakdown of law and order in the country. And there was a conflict between the succession crisis precipitated by the accidental death of William Adeline, the only son of Henry I, in the sinking of White ship in 1120. And after that, Henry's attempt to keep or to install his daughter Empress Matilda as his successor, he became unsuccessful in this, and due to Henry's death in 1135, his nephew Stephen of Blois seized the throne. Now what has happened is Stephen the Blois, he has come to the throne, and with the help of his brother, that is Henry of Blois, who was the Bishop of Winchester. Now what these people did, these two brothers, the early reign marked a fierce fighting with English barons, wherein rebellious they were Welsh leaders and Scottish invaders. And after that there was a major rebellion in the southwest of England, and henceforth what has happened is Matilda invaded in 1139 with the help of her half-brother Robert of Gloucester. Now comes the different point in the Middle English period, wherein from 1154 to 1485, this period is called as the, or this part is ruled by the House of Plantagenets. Now, what is House of Plantagenets? This is a royal house which originated from the lands of Anjou, which is located in France. And this house has two main cadets, that is House of Lancaster and House of York. So now I would be focusing in detail about House of Plantagenets. Now, the name Plantagenet is used by modern historians to identify four distinct royal houses. The first one is the Angevins, who were also the counts of Anjou. Then comes the main body of the Plantagenets. Just now I have told you about the two cadet branches, that is Houses of Lancaster and House of York. Now this family held, or we can say they ruled the English throne from 1154 with the accession of Henry II. Means Henry II is sitting on the throne until this house they have ruled till 1485, when King Richard III died in the battle. And under this Plantagenets, England was transformed, although this was only partly intentional, and the Plantagenets kings were often forced to negotiate compromises such as Magna Carta. Now, what is Magna Carta? Magna Carta is a charter which was written, or which was drafted by the Archbishop in 1215. Now I would be focusing upon what is Magna Carta. Magna Carta Libertium. Now it is a royal charter of rights agreed to by the King John of England at Runnymede near Windsor on 15th June 1215, which was drafted as I have right now told you by the Archbishop of Canterbury. His name is Stephen Langton, which he drafted to make peace between the unpopular king and a group of rebel barons. Now they promised to protect the church and its rights, as well as protection for the barons from the illegal imprisonments, as well as access to swift justice and limitations on the feudal payments to the crown. Means during this point of time, what has happened is there were so many great taxes or high taxes which people have to pay to the kings. And now what has happened is, due to the limitations of feudal payments to the crown, this was implemented by 25 barons. And after that, neither side stood behind their commitments, and the charter was annulled by the Pope Innocent III, leading to the First Barons' War. Now, after this point of time, there is a 100 years war, which is also very important, which lasted, or we can say which started in 1337 and it ended in 1453. This war was between House of Plantagenet and its cadets, that is House of Lancaster and House of York. But there was another house, that is House of Valois, who these people belonged to France. And now why they were fighting? They were fighting because they wanted to rule the kingdom of France. And this is also one of the most notable conflicts in the Middle Ages, or in the Middle English period, wherein the 5 generations of kings from 2 dynasties, the dynasties I have right now mentioned, which is the House of Valois and House of Lancaster, and these 2 dynasties fought for the throne of the largest kingdom in the Western Europe. And this war marked both the height of chivalry and its subsequent decline, and the development of stronger national identities in both the countries. Now, after this period, there is a War of Roses. Now, what is the War of Roses? Now, this War of Roses, there is a war which started between the House of Lancaster, wherein they had one rose and one color, and House of York, they had one rose and its color. They both had red and white. and they fought for the throne, that is, who would be sitting on the English throne. Now, I would be discussing in detail about the War of the Roses. Now, the War of the Roses, it started in 1455 and it came to an end in 1487, wherein it is also called as the English Civil War for the control, or we can say for the throne of England, which was fought between the two cadet branches, that is Royal House of Plantagenet, that is House of Lancaster, wherein these House of Lancaster, they represented a red rose, and the House of York, these people, they represented the white rose. And these wars eliminated the male lines of both the families, and there was a conflict which lasted through many sporadic episodes between 1455 and 1487. But there was related fighting before and after this period, as I have right now mentioned, the the War of 100 Years. And this war, we can say, this war was between the we can say one house, that is House of Plantagenet. And the power struggle ignited around social and financial troubles, because there were war. They have lost their so much money, because they need arms, ammunitions, or and they also have spent so much money upon we can say when there was war. And because of these, that is 100 Years War, there was unfolding of structural problems, and which combined the mental infirmity and weak rule of the King Henry VI, which revived against interest of the House of York. And now what has happened is, House of York, they came to the throne, and now King Richard, he came to the throne and started to rule. And after that, what has happened is, during this period, there were so many, we can say, at this point of time, there were few things written, but this was the whole scenario of the historical, social and political background of the Middle English period. And after this, I would be focusing upon what is the literary advancements, or we can say what were the literature that was written during Middle English period. So stay tuned. So as I was telling you all that right now, up till now, I spoke about the social, political and historical background. Now I would be focusing upon the literature. What was the different kinds of literature that was written in these period, that is Middle English period. Now because of the wars, that is 100 Years Wars, House of the we can say the War of the Roses, and because of these, what has happened is, people have written war literatures. And apart from war literatures, people have written about religious literatures. Now why religious literatures? As you all have right now heard that I spoke about Magna Carta, wherein there was a charter, and this charter has given we can say published an idea how people were we can say suppressed, or how they were taken taxes from common people. And because of that, Magna Carta was we can say the charter was published. And apart from this, there were oral traditions such as oral songs and ballads which people sung, and that oral traditions, or all those songs and ballads were we can say were given from one generation to another generation. And now the next point is most books were anonymous. Now why those most books were anonymous? Because during this period we can say the printing press was not set up. So because of these, most books were anonymous, and they were these people only had the manuscripts. And apart from manuscripts, we can say apart from manuscripts, only in London people started to get education. And why only in London people started to get education? Because there were two great universities which was established during this Middle English period, or ages is Oxford University and Cambridge University. Now Oxford University was Oxford University was established in 1167, whereas Cambridge University, it was we can say it was established in 1209. And now because of these universities, what has happened is people started to learn more about English literature, then Greek and Latin literature. And people now, when these universities were started apart, we can say throughout Europe, or we can say especially from United Kingdom, people started to migrate to London and they started to get education in these two great universities. Now the next point is, in the 12th century there was one important thing that was written is Ormulum, that was written by Orm. And now here Ormulum, what is Ormulum? That is the interpretation of Bible, and which traces the history from the Roman conquest, or we can say, as I have told you in the previous part of my video, that is Romans came, or we can say Romans ruled England from 55 BC. So here Ormulum, he tells in Orm in his book Ormulum, he tells about Roman conquest as well as the interpretation of Bible. And after that there is one important or one famous book, which is The Owl and Nightingale. And in The Owl and Nightingale there are argument about various things, and courtly style and the allegorical nature was highlighted. Okay, and after this in the 13th century there is the most famous book which was written, that is Brut, and his author was Layamon, and this was written in 1205. And there are some characteristics which I would be majorly focusing, wherein in the Layamon's Brut, historiography of Britain has been written in a poetical form. Now we can't imagine that a person who is writing historiography of a country in a poetical format. But here Layamon, in his book, that is Brut, he is writing about the history of Britain in a poetical form. And right now what has happened is first appearance of this book was seen by the King Arthur, and it also links to the older historical traditions with modern Englishness, and the first voice in Middle English wherein the use of English is less conscious, more colloquial, and use of use of idioms and proverbs. And after that there are Arthurian chronicles, which was written by Wace, wherein popularization of Arthurian tales are told, wherein it had French influence, and romances. Now here romances were getting famous. Now romances means the knights who were the warriors. They were telling their story about how they went to the war and what are the different things that has happened in the war. These kind of chivalric romances were also written in this Middle English period. And the most important work in this period is Roman de la Rose, which is written in French. And from this point, or from this work, the next generation greatest writer, that is Geoffrey Chaucer, he has also took inspiration from this, the Roman de la Rose. And after that comes the point such as I was focusing upon Middle English literature. And in Middle English literature, what has happened is, so finally Robert Manning of Brun, he has written about English period or English style in a chronological way. So with this I conclude this video, and I hope you all have witnessed what were the great changes that has happened in Middle English period. So I think you all have got a slight idea about Middle English literature. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to push the notification bell icon so that you will get idea, or you will get notification about my upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and keep sharing my videos, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.